In Krendish, the word for butterfly means beautiful. Such an innocuous statement might evoke preconceived notions of vivid colors and delicate fluttering wings, innocently floating in the wind. In their case, however, it's an extremely different scenario. The warm feelings and joyful memories it triggers in Earthlings are directly tied to the dainty terrestrial variety of the flying creature we all know. Inversely, on the savage, inhospitable planet of Krend, their carnivorous alien species of butterfly has a wingspan of more than 2 meters, foot-long barbed fangs, and they spray a highly corrosive acid on their stunned prey. These winged assassins bring death from above. The less fortunate victims suffer a similar parasitic fate to the victims of the gypsy wasp. They inject their larvae directly into a host to feed on them until it is ready to discard them and enter adulthood. Of course, this was completely unknown when the distant Earth-like planet was discovered. At first, all they focused upon was that Krend had the right atmosphere and temperature to support human life. The harsh details came about much later, when the planet was finally explored. Scientists were so excited about locating another world capable of supporting our fragile biological organisms that they failed to consider the indigenous species might be vicious or deadly. The first 3 exploratory missions taught humanity a valuable lesson. They immediately suffered 100% crew fatalities. It was a devastating blow to the space program and science. One solitary member of the 3rd mission managed to contact authorities before ultimately being snuffed out. From his hastily prepared warning, the team finally understood the sobering gravity of the situation. The distant destination they had set their sights upon exploring was both perilous and deadly. Humans being foolhardy and doggedly determined, or possibly both, was soon confirmed. To our credit, we kept on trying. And by the 4th exploratory trek, we had sent soldiers and heavy weapons along with biologists and researchers. It was from this pivotal adaptation in our methods that humanity gained critical, valuable information, not the least of which was the actual name of the planet from the indigenous people. Before, we had just been calling it Planet B14N17Q. The gnarled humanoid inhabitants are somewhat akin to our varied species in general appearance and temperament. How long they had been evolving on their distant blue planet is difficult to determine. The Krendish people have never been preoccupied with record keeping or documenting their species' history. As a matter of fact, they live a simple guru-like hippie lifestyle where peace is paramount and inanimate things have no material value. Thankfully, these humble nomads are friendly or eager to learn about humanity, our similar species. After translating their verbal language and teaching them how to speak our mother tongue, we formed a mutual understanding tribunal to learn more about each other as time went on. It was during those initial important relationship-building conversations that researchers learned about the fierce Krendish butterfly. Initially, our scientists feared that there was an issue with the translation method. They had significant difficulty imagining such terrifying skyborne predators as anything remotely beautiful. What we assumed was a critical breakdown in communication was simply a cultural difference in perspective. They were able to separate the sorrow and fear felt on a personal level to admire the murder butterflies for their majestic dominance. It's similar to how the natives of Africa or India have reverence or spiritual respect for apex hunter big cats that terrorize their villages. To the human team, the deadly flying assassins with colorful wings killed every crew member of 3 earlier excursions and cost us precious time and resources. They inspired nothing but visceral terror and fear. Only through this eye-opening exchange of differing social perspectives could we begin to understand how they could independently separate the horrific savagery from the dominant level of success which the dreaded creatures achieved. The Krendish didn't blame the beautiful for its vicious behavior or relentless attacks on the countless victims it had mutilated or infected with larvae. They recognized each species has its own agenda, and it wasn't evil or wrong to do what it was supposed to do, to survive. They felt the colorful predator deserved the deep respect and admiration of a powerful god, which occasionally took beloved sacrifices. They felt theirs was a noble and evolved perspective. Initially, we respectfully disagreed, but held our tongues. Then, as two of the Earth crew were seized and zombified with parasitic larvae attached to their brains, our respect for their sacred customs waned significantly. We pointed out how many of their beloved ancestors had been martyred to these ungrateful flying gods they venerated. We pointed out how they had been forced to adapt and tailor their entire lives around avoiding dying by these vicious murder flies floating in the sky. Their entire existence had become restricted to making insincere apologies to themselves, denial of an ugly truth, and a bitter acceptance of reality because they had no choice. The thing is, we did. When one of the winged menaces returned to prey on more members of the crew or one of the helpless villagers, we instinctually fought back. A mission soldier was fully prepared, fired at the massive flapping target with a tracking missile. The result was both conclusive and immediate. The impact essentially evaporated it. With irony, absolutely unintended, one of the shaken crew members shouted, "Now that was beautiful," as the flaming remnants fell harmlessly back to Earth. The Krendish spectators to the event were visibly shaken by the sudden disintegration on one of their gods, and possibly the awesome sight of what fighting back looked like with modern powerful weaponry. None of them grasped our language well enough yet to understand why the statement was funny to us. They assumed the amused spectator meant the object destroyed was a beautiful Krendish butterfly. Not that the sight of blowing it apart like confetti before it could decapitate anyone was a beautiful sight to behold. Regardless, the humble inhabitants of Krend underwent a significant shift in their perspective that fine day. That is, about the undeserved reverence of their winged, beautiful predators. As soon as there was an effective way to fight back and take control of their personal lives, they unanimously became invested in the decidedly unpeaceful ideology of deicide. With their eager assistance to contribute to their own violent salvation, the Earth crew were happy to assist in the planet-wide obliteration from a winged terror in the form of giant butterflies.